Okay. Today, our topic is spiritual enlightenment will not give you anything. So, where do we start with this? Let's figure this out as we figure out as we go today. So, when you, controversial topic, let's give some context and some background here, right? So some context and some background is that most people walking around the world are living within a framework that's called their character, right? Most people are walking around in this world that's the framework of their character. And remember, just so you know, that nothing is right and nothing is wrong. We're not here to make anyone feel bad or make anyone feel good. We're just stating the way things are, right? So I think you would all agree that most people are walking around this world in a context or a framework of a character. The character of Insky lives in Western Australia, is so many years old, has gone on trips, is into spirituality, is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the character, right? This character is going to have a birthday on Saturday. This character lives in where do I live? New York. And happens to identify as a gay male. This character happens to like having nail polish because it's fun. Someone said to me well, why do you do that? I go, because it's fun, because I like it. Because I like it. Anyway, so there's a character. That's the context here that we're talking about. So most people are walking around the world in some kind of a framework of a character. Your needs, your wants, your deficiencies, your successes, your failures, your hopes, your dreams, all of that stuff is the context of the character. Nothing wrong with that. So this is important to understand when we're talking about spiritual enlightenment or spiritual awakening, right? So most people that are on this app right now that are watching me their character is looking for something. I don't know what that is. If you're on this app, you're probably looking for something either akin to or akin is closely related to some kind of a spiritual awakening. Your character is looking for something it believes it does not have. This is a theme that goes throughout every single thing that I teach, that I've always taught, is that you're coming from a place of already being deficient of something. Now, there's nothing wrong with being deficient of something in the character. I don't understand algebra. I'm going to go to a tutor to help me learn algebra. I don't know how to paint houses, so I'm going to an expert to teach me how to paint houses. Nothing at all wrong with any of that. Now, when it comes to the spiritual, I almost said something not nice, but I'm going to say, when it comes to the spiritual path, there is a misnomer. You can agree with this and you don't have to agree with this. It doesn't matter. But the spiritual path, from the separated self's point of view, not all spiritual paths are teaching this, but many are, that you as a character need to do something in order to wake up. You as a character are some way and in some form deficient, but the guru or the priest or the Jesus or the Buddha or the Thor or you understand? They have it and you don't. So your character doesn't have it. So what do? We go, okay, I'm going to study the Bible. I'm going to study the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to study the Course in Miracles. This is one of my paths, right? So Course in Miracles. You're going to study this. And then the implication is that your character will somehow get it at some point. Now, in some fundamentalist religions, you will never get it. The most that your character can hope for is to be happy while you're here, because the only real satisfaction you'll ever get is once you leave and you've done enough good things, and then you'll get to heaven and you'll get 37 virgins. Right? So there's always this thing that there's a deficiency in the character, and the character is wrong, right? So many times what happens is that the separated self believes that it is you, that it is the truth, so it keeps trying to wake up. It keeps trying to be enlightened. It keeps trying to meditate enough, pray enough, do good works enough, go to church enough, do rosaries enough, chant enough, whatever. And then at some point, your character will go, I'm awake. Well, I'm here to tell you that ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen. So that is, the character can feel more peaceful. The character can feel better. I'm not saying anything's wrong with the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not saying anything's wrong with meditation. I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of this. The Course in Miracles, nothing. But remember what today's topic is. Spiritual enlightenment isn't going to give you anything. It's something like that. I'm going to read it again. Yeah, it will not give you anything. Spiritual enlightenment will not give you anything. Because the character itself is already in a place where, as A Course in Miracles would say, the character is the ego or the separated self, right? So the separated self's edict is seek, but never find. The Holy Spirit, this is what the Course in Miracles would say. The ego's edict is seek, but never find. And the Course and the Holy Spirit's edict is you've already found. You've already found. So spiritual awakening is not going to give you anything. Now, I'm not saying spiritual awakening is not going to happen or enlightenment is not going to happen, but it doesn't happen to the character. It's not going to happen to Jane. It didn't happen for Max. It's not going to happen to Chanel. It's not going to happen to that perfectly constructed character. It's not going to happen to that because that character is based on something is wrong. Take a deep breath. The character convinces you that when you wake up, you'll finally feel peaceful. The character convinces you. The religion convinces you. The guru will convince you that when you wake up, you will be blissful all the time and everything will change. Well, I guarantee you that doesn't work. Doesn't happen. But everything does change. And nothing changes at all. But it doesn't happen to the character. It appears to happen, but it doesn't happen to anybody. So there really isn't an awakening, because an awakening or an enlightenment suggests that there's a real character, well, a real being that is there to awake. the character is false. There is no character there. I hate to break it to you. There's no character there. It's something else. Something else is there, right? So the character that's so well constructed that I keep referring to is exactly like a character in a play, in a movie. It's not real. What's real, and I'll use this analogy all the time. I just used it in one of my pieces the other day. I will continue to use it. The character that's being played is not real. So it can't have an awakening, right? What's real, and I hate to use that word because then, but words tend to, it's very difficult at some point. But what's real is the actor that's playing the character, right? The actor that's playing the character is what's real. The character that is you're self-identified with is not real. It's a story. And then there's another story and another story and another story on top of that story. There's nothing wrong with any of this. So spiritual awakening or enlightenment is not going to do anything for the character. It didn't do anything for this character. So there is no spiritual enlightenment. Really. All right, take a deep breath. Now, let's talk. This is where we have the conversation. So please put into the chat anything that's coming up for you. And once again, there's wrong and there's nothing right. There just is what is. So you can ask a question, you make a comment, but for the rest of the time here, we're going to have a conversation. All right, let's see. Paulette says, maybe realizing this is the spiritual awakening. Could be, but no one realizes it. Grace says, it's all in your head. I remember once someone saying, well, the devil's all in your head. And then you're thinking, well, that's the worst place it could be. Oh, Chanel, thank you so much for the donation. It's because I used your name, isn't it? I appreciate it. Who's no one? No one is no one. There is no one there. Sue says, how does the character realize they are the actor? By doing some of this work, you begin to realize it. And it could be a million ways. And let me just go back here. Thank you for all of the comments. This is good. Did the Course in Miracles in any way lead you to know you are the actor, or would you have realized that at some point? I think that it did help the character, because one of the things that, if you don't know A Course in Miracles, it is a non-duality teaching. So one of the biggest things in A Course in Miracles is one of the simplest things, and it is you're giving the meaning to everything. So if you're giving meaning to everything, what happens is that if you understand that you're giving the meaning to everything, we've done this 50 million times here, you realize that there's a character giving meaning. What happens before the meaning? So does that make sense? Yeah, Chanel. Mari says, is it that it's there already, but you have to get past the character? On some level, yes. On some level, yes, Mari. But there's no getting past the character, because the character is just a figment of the imagination. It's like Ross on Friends. Ross isn't real. So you don't have to get past the character. There's nothing to get past. There's no you to get past it. There's no you to get past the no you. Okay. Insky, love this concept. So true, yet never thought about it like this before. So curiously, when I have sought and have felt, I found is the result of understanding that I was actually whole all along, and there was no lack other than what the avatar believes was missing. In other words, the avatar, that is Lisa, believes the story that she is not enough and lack. That's exactly right. So the character, I like the term avatar too. It's like an avatar. It's like, and if you have not seen the movie Free Me, If you have not seen the movie Free Me, go watch that. It has a lot to do with what we're talking about right now. So much to do with it. And it's funny. So watch that. You're completely right, Insky. Lisa. Stop looking and just enjoy what is. That's an option, Kyrie. Blossom says, don't try to do anything. If you try, then you're trying too hard. If you try, then it's you trying. So this is why, Blossom and everyone, in A Course in Miracles, one of the most powerful, this comes back to what Sue was asking. In A Course in Miracles, one of the most powerful lessons is what? I need do nothing. I need do nothing. Because it's always the character that's doing it anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, Tim says pivot. Yes, there's a pivoting kind of situation going on. There is. I'm not going to go into that because I could break that down. But yes, Tim. Mari says, so we're mainly just the spirit. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting because if we, for lack of a better term, yes. But remember, or just, let me just say this. If there's a spirit, then there's something else. But there is nothing else. There only is what is. Remember, this is a non-dual teaching. So there only is what is. So when we say there's a spirit, that implies there is a other thing. It's kind of like saying, and this is an interesting point too, is like, and there's nothing wrong with this either, trying to be in the present moment. You can't not be in the present moment now, because you already are. Even if you think you're not, you're here. That's what's happening. So, but being in the present implies that there's a past and there's a future. But there is no past and there's no future. That would be a dualistic model. We're not talking about a dualistic model here. We're talking about a oneness, non-dualism, non-dualist awareness, right? Carol says, I'm beginning to perceive it's not about finding, it's about deconstructing barriers. Carol, read my last article. That's what it was all about. That's what it was all about. Insky says, so listening to you, resonating with you, is Lisa's avatar relating to Max's avatar character, or the characters underneath connecting, or both? It is both and none. It's both and none. Thank you for the donation, Kyrie. You're welcome, Mari. What else is coming up for people? This is a great conversation. This is a great conversation.